Ted.
Thank you, Ted.
He's helping behind the scenes like nobody's business and working.
Awesome.
If anybody wants any of the DVDs, we should be set up today now across from where you got your badges.
What I'll tell y'all about that, have you been feeling like you wish you could bilocate and be in 2 or 3 places at once? You know, like, I want to do both these talks, and trust me, it doesn't work to try and be in 3 of them, like go 10 minutes here, 10 minutes there, because you don't get the whole immersion. So these DVDs are a blessing. And then you're in there, even today, what you're going to do with this brainwave magic, you might be like, oh, I wish my brother could see this, or oh, my friend at work would love this. You can grab a DVD and share it. And that's a great way to bring our beautiful angel home with you. All right, well, as you all know, we are here for a mystical journey. And what I'd love to do first is just officially say welcome to the Conscious Life Expo. It's the 21st year, and it's so exciting to see how many new people there are in the room. There's some of us, I've been coming for 20 years, and to keep getting new people. And what's so fun is it always feels like a reunion. And there's no difference to me. New people, old people, we're all family. We are all connected, and that's one of the best parts about a conference and an expo like this, because when it's focused on consciousness and love and healing and transformation, what a gift for all of us. And on that note, I would love to officially get to introduce our beautiful Allyn Evans, who's here from Monroe Institute. And are you all ready to tap into your superpowers?
Yes.
Are you ready to just soar?
Yes.
It is truly a gift and honor to have you bringing your light, your magic, and your gifts. And from what I've read about you, this is a big passion. And it's what you're here to do, fulfilling your purpose. And as she does that, she's helping all of us to step into our passion and our purpose. So let's all take a nice deep breath together. And let's give a warm, loving, awesome welcome to Allyn Evans. I did. You know, when I was asking her what to say, she's like, anything you want. And what she said to me was the truth. I said, you know, is there anything you need? She's like, no, that's fine. They've read the bio. She truly is an amazing human. Let's give it up, Allyn Evans.
Hello, hello. So I was thrilled to see, of course I love all you who already know about us, but those of you who don't, it's a good number of you that haven't heard. And right now with that door closing, and I know it'll be opening and closing a little bit more as people come and go, but just consider that you are now in the crazy zone. So I have some stories I'm going to share, and those of you who have experienced Monroe have some stories of your own. But I showed up at the Monroe Institute in 2009, and I had read about it in books. And you know what? I love that you're sitting here. She's the nodder and there you go. And smiles. Keep it up. So I was reading lots of books, and I'm going to age myself here. Well, 2009 was, before 2009, there was no internet, right? So I would be reading about it, and it was this little mysterious place out there. And the authors that would write, sometimes they didn't really want you to know what it was, because it was their secret too, right? So, but I just kept reading about it, and finally, one day, well, first of all, are y'all familiar with Carolyn Myss, M-Y-S-S? She's an intuitive healer. I was listening to a lecture of hers, cannot find that lecture, and she talked about the Monroe Institute and how she'd gone there, and that's where her intuitive abilities came back. You know, she had pushed them down because her parents, her mother especially, told her that's not what you need to be doing. So that was what happened. And so all along, as I'm reading all these things, I was on a quest. I wanted to be more psychic. So even when I first started hearing about the Monroe Institute, I wasn't paying attention to the out-of-body stuff, none of that. I was focused. I want to be more intuitive. And sorry for you psychics and mediums in here, But I wanted to cut out the middleman. I wanted to get the information myself. So that was, and then I thought, well, and then I'm going to teach other people how to do it. Like once I learn how to be psychic, I'm going to teach other people. So I was reading book after book about how to do that as well. And I suddenly realized one day when I was reading the latest book that the person trying to teach me how to be a psychic was a psychic, at least self-identified, when they were 5 years old, you know, as a child. And here I was, 28 years old, 30, and of course I wasn't psychic, you know. I was an empath, but I wasn't psychic. So that was driving me, and so I was searching. And then I saw that article that lecture by Carolyn Mays, and I was in a bookstore in 2008 with my daughter, and I was on the occult aisle. It was called the occult aisle then. And this book, I saw this book, and it was The Journey of Robert Monroe. And I was like, okay, this is what I've been looking for. So I read the book, and then I don't know if y'all are familiar with the Gateway Home series, but it's a series of, at the time it was 6 different series, now it's 8. You order it, you do it at home. So I ordered all of it. I went through all of it. Every day I was doing meditations, just buzzing through it. And before I got to the end of it, I was like, okay, I have to go. I didn't really have the resources. I had a young child. How was I going to do it? I don't know. But, you know, I got there. So by 2009 in March, I was there. And then the rest is history. I kept going back. So superpowers are not supernatural. And that's what I want you to really get in your head. And for who would call themselves a psychic or a medium? Like you're kind of tapped in, okay? So you know, you're walking that bridge already. All of you in this room can do it. It's different. You might be visual. You might be clairaudient. You know, I don't know how you perceive. Three main ones. But we're all different. So the thing to do, and use our sound technology can help you, is to figure out and I call it the hook. What is your hook? What gets you that sixth sense information, where you can interpret it, where you can process it, and then understand it. And you all can do it. So just trust me on that. It's also a matter of focus. So people come to me and they say, I really want to have an out of body. And my response is, okay, you can have one. You can do it. But here's the thing. Each one of you in this room, if you haven't had one yet, you have had one, you just don't remember it, you have different levels of readiness. Some of you, though, it can happen spontaneously. So you're just kind of that oddball over here that spontaneous things are going on for whatever reason, life crisis, or you're really exhausted, or just different reasons. But most of us, and I was one of those people, I had to put attention and focus to be able to reach those states, to have an out of body, to have a lucid dream, to become more psychic. And so basically it's just a training, and it takes practice. Unless of course you have spontaneous, like a near-death experience. Don't do that. You can do this. You can do other ways here, so you don't have to die to do this. And why do you care? So I look at it as self-evolution, because as we go through all of this, we are evolving our souls. We are growing, and we all came here to have this earth experience, this human experience, and that we're driven by that. We're driven by self-evolution. We're driven to develop ourselves, and when we do, we help a whole lot of other people. So it's not just our journey, because we're all connected. So where do we start? At the Monroe Institute, we have one bit of dogma, and that's it, that we ask you to believe. Now, you don't even have to. You can show up, say, I don't believe in that, and we'll go, fine, come on in. But we do ask you to consider that you are more than your physical body. And it's something that Bob would say too, and we also hope that in the experience of doing things with us, that you not just believe that I'm more than my physical body, but you know. So to really help you understand, there's a lot going on that you don't know, that you don't perceive. What is your name? Marilyn, are you a medium?
No, I'm a hypnotherapist.
Hypnotherapist, okay. So if we had a medium in the room, they would probably tell us that all of you have your little guides and helpers. That we're all crammed in here together. We just can't see it. Some of us can perceive it. Some of us know, some of us don't know, but it's there. So I work with a medical doctor, Brian Daly, from Rochester, New York, and he uses a software called biofield imaging. So we take these pictures of the subtle energy field and we capture things. You do that? Yeah, it is. So we have a trainer named Patty Ray, and actually one of the meditations we'll do today, she voiced. So when she is in, and at the Monroe Institute, we'll sometimes do this crazy thing where we'll get in a circle and we'll all resonant tune together, which is ah. And so one time she was doing that with a group, and a psychic in the room said, every time Patty does that, I see a white cross appear across her chest. So they just happened to have the biofield there, and they captured it. Now she identifies with Christianity. We do have a chakra system, which I'm sure all of you believe. But for a long time, we didn't scientifically know it. It wasn't validated. And it is now. And this is just a really cool biofield image of that system that we all have. And this guy, this little kid, is wide open. It's really clear and clean. So this is an example, one of Brian's slides, of a phantom arm. So this gentleman does not have an arm, but he has pain where the arm used to be. And the biofield catches that pain. Then he would do a treatment, a Reiki treatment, energy work, and that redness, that irritation would go away, and that's actually the after picture, the first one. So we don't see that. The person without that arm doesn't have it, can't touch it, but energetically, it's there. Has anyone been to? Yeah. Some live there.
I can see that from my backyard.
Oh wow! Well, look. So you didn't know it had that vortex. I mean, I know you know it has a vortex, but there it is captured. So again, we don't see it. And I've been in rooms like this, giving presentations where you'll have a vortex in a room, and very interesting activity going on. So I wanted to share with you a healing experience that I actually experienced firsthand. I was setting up for a workshop, was moving these huge banquet tables. It was at the Monroe Institute. I teach with Brian Daly energy medicine, and I injured my hand. And according to Brian, this doesn't show up in there. According to Brian, it was pretty serious. I couldn't squeeze this, couldn't hold a toothbrush, couldn't hold a fork. And that's what he labeled it. Thank goodness I didn't really know what that meant. Because if he had told me 6 weeks later how serious it was. So Fred Reibel, and the reason he has his shirt off is because when you are having biofield imaged, you either need to have white on, and if you're a male, you can choose to take your shirt off. So he didn't have a white shirt. So he had never been biofield imaged, and they're sitting there doing that, and all of a sudden I have this injured hand that's hurting, pounding, it's starting to swell and turn purple, and I go, wait a minute, that's Fred. Fred's a healer, and he's a really good one, because he's healed me before. He's worked on me. And then I thought, oh, we have the imaging stuff, so let's image it. So you'll see that the energy focused right on the injury. This took about a minute and a half. And then after it was done, we'd go out to eat, and I could hold a fork. That night, I can brush my teeth, and when I wake up the next morning, it's like it never happened. He told me that the injury could have required going to the emergency room, but he didn't tell me that for 6 weeks. So I was like, thank you, because you can get stuff in your head, right? And the mind is God to the body. That's a whole nother lecture. So this is one of my favorites. And this is one that Brian Daly took in Iceland. And you can see the blue heart and the blue something happening near an ankle. So what I want you to first of all understand is when you use biofield imaging, if you're in the dark, you tend not to see anything. So you can see there are 5 people there. So 3 of them don't really have much going on in the dark. But you have 2 healers that can turn it on. Brian Daly, he's been tested and is called a full spectrum healer. And then this person from Iceland named Benny. So Benny is in the blue heart, and he's got a leak where he had a motorcycle accident when he was 21. So that's how we identify Benny. Brian is the one with the big pink heart, rose quartz, he says. And he is the most beautiful human being. And I know some of you know him. So I hope you'll get to meet him one day. I love working with him. So they're in this room, and the person doing the biofield imaging asked Benny to close his heart chakra and asked Brian to start releasing rose quartz at the back. And that's just intention. So you're all very powerful. You can all do this. You can even be shining in a dark room. So what are your superpowers? Well, for me, and that's why it's leading off the list, is intuitive and psychic abilities. And that was what I was after. That's what I wanted, and that's what I got. Ability to visit non-local spaces. What does that mean? This is local. So anything else? It's a big territory out there. When we talk about OBEs, and Bob Monroe labeled some of the areas where people would go when they were having an out-of-body experience. One was Locale 1, that would be here. Locale 2 would be like going to Virginia, going to the Monroe Institute right now, or even going to Mars. Locale 3 would be a totally different universe, galaxy, something that was just so different. Like one of his experience, he described the bus that he rode that was just this very weird machine. And he actually participated almost like a walk-in when he went into Locale 3. But Locale 1 is interesting. I'm doing a sidestep here. But with Locale 1, let's just say one of you left the room right now, and then you went to our meditation room, which is right around the corner, and you had an out-of-body, and you said, I want to go back to the lecture room where Alan's making a presentation. So you come in here, and it looks a little different. You might see the mic stand here, or you might see a lamp right in front of the door. You know, it'll distort a little bit your reality, so you don't necessarily always feel like you really are in Locale 1. But you are, and people can verify it. So, speaking of OBEs, I had a shared OBE. Now, I wasn't having the OBE. I was the one that the person came and checked on. So I wanted to share that story with you. That's me a good while ago in the control room. And at the Monroe Institute, the trainers, and I'm one of the trainers, we sit in the control room, and then we send out the signals to your place that you're having your meditations, which is called a check unit, Controlled Holistic Environmental Chamber. That's what Bob called it. He loved acronyms. So we send it there. So I had that same person that did the healing, Fred. He is in one of those check units, and I'm in the control room. So I'm, doing the meditations for the group, and Fred finds himself out of body. So he goes, what am I going to do? So he decides to go check on his wife in California. That's where he lived at the time. He did that. Then there was some some person he was working on healing. So he goes to the hospital, checks on that person, And then he's like, okay, what can I do now? And then he goes, oh, I'm going to go see Allyn. She's in the control room, and maybe she'll see me. Maybe she'll know I'm there. So what he doesn't know is when I got them off, we say on to exercise, I had a maintenance issue. So I had called maintenance, and while I waited, and they sent someone named Larry, while I waited for Larry, I fixed it. So I'm sitting in the control room, the door's right here, I hear a knock on the door opens, I look, and Larry's doing this. You know, is everything okay? You're not supposed to talk when you enter the control room because I might be on the microphone talking to people in the check unit. So I look at Larry, I do this, and I smile at him, and then he closes the door. Well, Fred was standing there, saw the door open, and he thought he was standing in the door. He saw me do this, and then the door shut, which of course he could have gone through the door, but he didn't think about that. So he basically came to what I was doing and witnessed it, told me about it later, and then I told him what I was doing, and the stories matched. So, yes?
In other words, no privacy.
Well, that's where the person needs to have a little integrity, and and you know what? There's a technique we use at the Institute called the REBAL, resonant energy balloon, which is basically working with your own energy. So every day you just put that thing around you. They can't get in there. So ability to communicate with non-local advisors, like guides, deceased loved ones. And just because you communicate with a deceased loved one, don't assume they've developed any more than when they were here. It's not always a quick change in their evolution. Also, accessing past and future. We actually have a program we call Timeline that focuses on that, and it's virtual and in person. Developing communication with your higher self, that's really just containing that part of you, getting the higher perspective, which that's what I would, in my earlier days, would be going to a psychic for, to get that higher perspective. So you can open that up for you. But again, for all you psychics in the room, we will still go to you because we have a vested interest in what the information we're getting. So if we're very emotionally tied to it, it's a disservice to ourselves if we don't sometimes seek that out. Experience projected consciousness, dreams, OBEs, and that's what you know most about the Monroe Institute, the out-of-body, well, possibly. That's where Bob, that's where his experience started, was with OBEs. And then heightened ability to perceive subtle energy. And this, I have spent a lot of time doing because of my energy healing work. And I thought, would y'all like to try something? Okay. So I thought we could try and do an energy ball. Now, what I want you to think about, go back to those biofield images you saw, right? So as you're doing this, just really put your imagination focus on, I have a ball, a material ball in front of me. But the way to start is to put your hands like this, and then you're going to slowly pull your fingers apart. Now I want you to go back and forth. For those of you who know what an accordion is, just back and forth and see if you're perceiving anything. It can be a coolness. It can be like a push-pull. It could be a resistance. It could be nothing. It's okay. Eventually, this is something you can perceive. So then I want you to start shaping that ball. And it can be big, it can be small. Try to perceive the boundaries. Push on it a little bit. Expand it. Just see where your boundaries are. Now what I'd like you to do, I know you don't all have someone next to you, but it's really cool when you combine your energy balls with someone else. So if there's a way to do that with someone next to you, and then just really pay attention to what it's like. And then come back out with your own energy ball and then go back in. And really just pay attention to what the perception of that energy is for you. And this is something you can work with and start perceiving more. It's almost, for me, after doing so much of this work, it's like thinking about an air conditioning, like a window unit. And you can feel the cold air blowing on you. You physically feel it. That's what you can do with energy. You can physically feel it coming out of your hands, coming into you.
Give it to Allie. Allie, you ready to catch?
Oh, yeah. Oh, now let's do this. So before you say goodbye to your energy ball, let's fill it with love and any prayers we have or hopes we have for humanity. And I have to tell y'all, while y'all are doing that, I had a psychic in one of my Reiki classes once, and when we did this exercise together, she literally saw all the balls go up in the air and dart off like they're going on where they're supposed to go, their targeted place. So when you're ready, just lift it up and let it go. Yay. I have goosebumps. Goosebumps are one of your indicators, by the way, if you're kinesthetic. So ways we can communicate, I'm just giving you some of the typical ways to do this, or the more common ways. And for me personally, clairaudience is what I developed, and that's my strongest hook. Then it would be kinesthetic, so that just feeling like I know I'm on track when I'm just covered with goosebumps in a situation. Yeah.
Is clairaudient like you actually hear an audible sound, or is it like you can hear their voices in your head?
So it can be either way from my experience, and I've actually experienced it both ways.
Okay.
So sometimes it feels like you're talking.
Yeah, but it's not.
Yeah. And then who hears music, like a full score, radio, yeah. So I always, when that happens, and I tend to wake up from dreams with that happening, I'll go see what the lyrics are. Because there's probably something there for you. So that's just knowing. A lot of us are clairsentient because that's the empaths, that's sensing things with our emotions. You walk into a room, everybody's quiet, but you know somebody just had a fight. Like, you can feel it. So that's what that is. And then we have clairalience, and that one is taste and smell. I think I did the order right. Did I do it? Okay, smell, then taste. And the smelling one is interesting because it's a different process in the brain. So when you're doing that one, that's very rare, from my understanding. But it's
very common.
Yeah. It's common for you?
Yeah.
So those are just, so when you're thinking about your hook, how many of you feel like you know your strongest sixth sense? Like how you perceive? Okay, so there's a lot of us who want to build that up more. So when we're doing meditations, like I'll be showing you some meditations today, but when you're doing those, you invite in what is yours, where's your strength, so you can start perceiving. Then the other key is paying attention and giving it some life. If you get an answer, you have to do something about it. And I'll explain that with one of the things that I do. So, body talk. How many of you talk to your body? Now, I was one of those people that talked to my body and just called her awful names. You pass by the mirror and you're like, oh man, sometimes I still do that, but I'm better. But this was an idea I got from Hay House Radio. Summer, I think it was McStratton was her name, the host. And she was, it was before it was called a podcast. It was a radio show. And her mother, Venus Andrus, I think was her name as well, had a show. And I loved listening to Venus. She was a quirky medium, and she would always have fun things to say. So one time she said, next time you meditate, ask your body what it needs from you. I was like, oh, okay, I'll try that. So I'm thinking, well, this is what my body's going to say. At At the time, my daughter told her preschool teacher that my favorite food was salad. It wasn't. I just ate it a lot because that was what I was supposed to do, fruit, salad. So I'm all prepared. I'm meditating, and I go, body, what can I give you today? Okay, wait for it. And brought her finger, and I actually said, what? No, Snickers. I like Snickers. So anyway, what did I do? I think I was on a diet that day. I was like, okay. So I had a Butterfinger. But again, when your body speaks to you, if you're going to play this game, you need to honor it. So just remember that. And I've got more examples. So I don't know about you guys, but I always hated liquid soap in the shower. Just hate it. I would always take my bar soap with me. Well, one day my body told me it wanted me to use liquid body soap. So guess what I do now? Every time I do it, I think about that. Come on, body. Can you just tell me why? so I can stop this? The other thing my body has been telling me lately was like, I want orange juice. And I was doing this program, this cleanse program. I could have oranges, but not orange juice. So I said, tell you what, I'll give you 2 oranges. Because I can't give you orange juice. But again, just pay attention. I remember when I first started doing it, and it was about 12 years ago, I woke up and there was this word in my head. And I sounded it out, and I was able to spell it pretty good, pretty closely. And the word was turmeric. Which I didn't know at the time what turmeric was. At the time, though, my body didn't know it should have pepper, too, with the turmeric. But so I started taking turmeric. So more examples of body talk, and this is where it gets kind of weird. I practiced Reiki for 2 years and had clients. And so not only was my body talking to me, but their bodies would talk to me. And so one time it was very sad. I was working on this lady who she was very, I would say, depressed and clearly had some emotional challenges. And so I'm working on her. I'm at the crown, which is at the head, and all of a sudden I hear a voice, and it is the saddest voice that I've ever heard, and I mean literally made me cry as I'm hearing it. And it said, please, please, please tell her to come back to me. She has such a beautiful mind. And I'm getting goosebumps. And when I talked to her about it, she told me after that she disassociated. I didn't know it before. So, it was a desperate plea from her body. Another one I had a lady that had a tick. She was very stressed. There was a transplant situation going on with the spouse, and so she just had a tick. She was so nervous. And I worked on her, and all of a sudden, as I'm doing my thing, I hear these shrill little voices. I mean, we love you, we love you. And I realized it was her central nervous system talking to me because it was calming her down. So you can develop these things. I haven't been talking to bodies all my life. And it starts with sound technology, or at least it did for me. So yes, you can do this. This is a book I recommend.
I love
She's one of my dear friends.
I know.
But Candy wrote a book. So Candy started going to the Monroe Institute a little bit before I did, so before 2009. And about the 10th or 11th program, she went to a program called Lifelines. And it's where, hopefully not to scare anybody, but when people pass on, we can help them move on. And that's a course you can take. And so she took that course and received information that she was able to validate about a man who had died 2 weeks before. His name, his business, his location. And then once that happened, it's like the floodgates opened up, and she channels, and it's just beautiful. Very positive message too. So I would, she details the story in the book and other stories. some of her healing stories were very powerful. And Luigi's in this picture as well with me, and he's one of our trainers that I get the pleasure of training with. Yeah, me too. He's as great as you think he is. So a funny thing here, and if you went to Paul's, who's with us at the Monroe Institute, he mentioned this yesterday. But once there was a Buddhist monk, and he was the head of the monastery from Canada, and he came to the U.S. He did this and did the meditations for a week. So he took the Gateway, which is our flagship introductory program, and I'm going to tell you a little bit more about that in a minute. But at the end of the week, it was like he said, "You Americans, you figure out the shortcut to everything." And then he proceeds to go to the bookstore and buys a whole bunch of exercises, which that's what we call meditations, to take back to his monastery. So even someone who's been sitting for 30 years can benefit from this. So how do we do this? Bob Monroe first introduced this to us 50 years ago. And of course, technology's changed. We now have different equipment. We have different ways that we can mix things together. And what I understand from my sound engineers, if I really understood what all went into that when Bob put this all together, he's brilliant. Now we can do it because we have a better understanding. But Bob Monroe is the one who introduced us to binaural beats. So how does it work? And you can see I've added, yes, we do use binaural beats. We think they're wonderful. But we also are looking into other things and have already, with our Expand app, which if you go by our booth or go check out a meditation that's right around the hall here, the corner here, it's using our Monroe Sound Science, which is also stepping into these other modulations. Binaural beats is a modulation, and then we are working with others. Now, in the meditations we're going to do in here today, you will also be experiencing Monroe Sound Science. So, how did all this begin? Tom Campbell, does anybody know about Tom? My Big Toe, The Theory of Everything. He was worked with Bob in the early years. He was a young man, young scientist, worked part-time. He and Dennis Minerick would ride their motorcycles from Charlottesville and help Bob, because Bob was trying to make this not woo-woo. Like, we couldn't use words like chakras. We had to be very careful what kind of language was used, because he wanted to stay away from it being woo-woo, and he wanted to stay away from dogma. So he had Tom and Dennis, who could then set up protocols and hopefully do some type of investigation that would be considered by a peer-reviewed journal, or would be taken seriously. So Tom and Dennis started their work. In 1979, Dennis read an article. He read an article that was about Willem Dove, who was a German scientist that had discovered the binaural beat technology, or the effect, in 1839. Dennis, because of who Dennis was, he was like, "Oh, we can put this with what we're doing." That's what they did. And this is what Bob is known to have said: "I got a tiger by the tail, and I don't know what to do with it." And what started happening, we had two, we call them like Faraday cages. We call them PrEP sessions, booths, and they are copper walled, and we have two of them. So they would get each in one, has a microphone, so you can talk to someone that's in what we call another control room, and you can talk about what's happening. And so then we're playing the frequencies. It's very individualized for a person, instead of it being like what we do with the app, where it's the group and we're all listening to the same thing. So their intention was to start meeting up once they got into these altered states. And Bob was very careful about recording what they were doing, having them be separate to tell their stories, then bring them together, and they were having shared experiences. Maybe they would explore a cave together. Maybe they would we had the crystal that you'll see a picture of. So that's when we really started understanding the power of what we had that could put you in these states that would help you access things much greater than yourself. So how does it work? If you put one frequency in one ear and another frequency in the other, you can think of the brain as a third ear. So it's subtracting the difference, or it's trying to kind of scramble and make sense of it, which ends up being a subtraction. So that would be 4 cycles per second is what your brain, or hertz, is what your brain is perceiving when it's having one tone at this range and another tone at this range. Today we're going to use speakers, which do work. Headphones are better, but you have a right speaker and a left speaker, so you'll still just look straight ahead and you'll still have that right-left experience. So just to show you, it's a frequency following response, so our brain can go to where that frequency formula wants us to go. Now this is very simplistic. When we do meditations, they are very complex, and you're more than likely going through many of these at different stages. But this example I gave you would be putting you more in the theta range. And so theta would be a very deep meditative state. It's a place where a lot of people cannot reach and stay alert. But if you train and use the exercises or meditations, you can stay alert. So I wanted to tell you about focus levels. Has anybody heard about the focus levels? So Bob created a map, and he put together these different frequencies that then would take us to shared experience type places. So if we were giving you a frequency combination that took you to, and C1 is just the beginning of where it kind of starts, and it's right now where we are. We don't have technology. We're just alert, listening. Hopefully you're alert and listening. So that's C1, and then the next one that we teach, or the first one, and what I'm about to share now is through Gateway, which is our first program. That's an introductory program. So again, just think of it as a map, and it's labeled. So one label is focus 10. So when we play that combination of frequencies, then you're more likely to go to this state. So it's mind awake, body asleep. You can literally be doing this state, hear somebody snoring, think it's somebody else, and it's you. And your body can be asleep, and you are awake. So now, when I can't sleep at night, I just put my body to sleep. And I tell myself, it's all right, your body's sleeping. Doesn't matter what your brain's doing, your body's asleep. So focus 11, this one is one that Bob said was his greatest gift to mankind, which we don't really use as much. We have it kind of tucked away in some of our meditations, and the idea is it gives you a what he called encoding to use during your waking state. So let's say you were trying to lower your blood pressure. You do a meditation in this access channel, then during the day, when you're feeling your blood pressure go up or you're under a lot of stress, you have an encoding that helps you calm that down. So it's a lot of good uses. Focus 12, that's another state. This one's a fun one to experience because you're expanding beyond your 5 physical senses. It's still, the way I look at it, it's still you, but it taps us into that higher self, so that the bigger, grander self that we are. And again, when we do Gateways, the program we teach this originally in, then we are taking you to these states, you're experiencing them, and then you're sharing about how this was for you. Then focus 15, no time, no space. Now it doesn't mean time doesn't exist, it just means that time is interesting. So it might be that you're in a meditation and you think it's been 2 hours and it was only 30 minutes, and vice versa. That would be one way. A lot of people see it as a void, like you're just in this vast, empty, black space. So what do you do with that? Well, this state typically requires some kind of action, some kind of initiation. So it's an imagination that begins it. So you have a purpose, you have a reason. I want to look at some past lives, that maybe the past life that's most impacted me the most this month. There'll be a new one next month. But that's what we use Focus 15 for. Focus 18 is one of my favorites. It's the heart. So if you really want to get into that heart space, it's a good one. The bridge state, this is another one you learn in Gateway, and it's where you start crossing into those other intelligences and ability to access way beyond yourself. And then 27, this is where I like to hang out. I actually have a little shack by the beach. Sometimes I drink beer there. But I have a funny story. I had a friend who since passed away, but her husband died before she did, and so she was a big Monroe person, was always coming, and she had her mansion in Focus 27. She wanted to go to her mansion. No, wait, I'm sorry. She had her shack, or like I do, the bamboo thing on the beach. So he apparently has a Focus 27 experience when she's not around. She doesn't know it. And she goes back to Focus 27, and he put a mansion in place of her, which she didn't like. So she took it down. But it's a place to, I love it for healing. And we have some exercises on the app. We also do it in programs where it'll take you there. And I imagine I'm in a healing center, and they've got all these new fancy devices and lights they're putting over me. So it can be for that. It can be for the university, the Akashic records. It's just a place where we can continue our development and growth. So one of the things that we do at the Institute is called Mind Mirror. Have you heard of Mind Mirror? No one. Okay, based on the work of Maxwell Kay, if you're interested in knowing more about it. Judith Pennington is the current person doing it, and she teaches a program for us at the Institute, and it is an EEG, 6-channel EEG system. We use 32 and more in our research, but so this is more for anecdotal type experiences of participants, and then it's a very useful tool because you see what your brain is doing. So one thing about it, and I didn't know this except for I believed it, I knew all these years of going to these programs, of doing the meditations, that I was becoming a better person. I also knew that it was easier to meditate, and it was easier to hold these states even if I didn't have the technology. But I had never had anybody look at my brain. So I'm at the Institute about 5 years ago. Judith is there with her mind mirror. She says, would I do it? And I'm like, yeah, first of all, I go, crap. I'm a trainer. What if I fail? What if it's really bad and it doesn't look like I'm doing anything? So I had that going on. And I did it with the chair of the board at the time, so that she did 2 of us. And we were in a room kind of like this with lights on, straight back chairs, exactly like what you're sitting in, a little bit of noise going on. And I was not comfortable. My back started hurting. But I ignored all that, and I went with the experience. There was no sound technology, but it was a guided meditation because she wanted to see where our brains were at different parts. It's a software that tracks everything. So at the end of it, Frank, the board chair, goes first. He saw Jesus. He had angels singing. There was a church. And here I am. Literally, I'm sinking in my chair. Well, I got nothing. I was relaxed, which you'll experience that some with the technology. It's not always bells and whistles and, Jesus. But it can be very mystical. So I'm just saying, I got nothing. So she kept asking me. She said, now what about what happened here? And so as after I got over my embarrassment, I started looking at it and thinking about it. I was like, oh, now that is when I started feeling really connected to everything. And I was just engulfed with this sensation of love. That everyone was, we were all together and it was all a beautiful place, that kind of whoa. And she goes, well, you were in the space to channel. I was like, oh, that's interesting because that didn't feel like, that wasn't a vision. That wasn't somebody a dog that's my guide giving me a message. It was a feeling that overcame me that then opened up that channel for me to be able to receive information. It wasn't bells and whistles at all. So a lot of times we miss that we're getting something. And the bells and whistles are great. They are fun. Don't get me wrong. They're fun. But that's not really the end goal. Not the end goal. But so in my analysis, I was able to stay in what's called an awakened mind. So I held that pattern for 97% of the time without sound technology. And just because I've trained myself to do that. And I was uncomfortable. It was lights on, people walking around, and my back hurt. And then for 30% of the time, that's when I hit that, everything is wonderful, I feel love and I'm connected to all. That was the evolved mind. So it's really a beautiful way to show you that something is happening. And also, you don't have to have this done to know that something is happening. Something is happening if you do this. Your brain matter grows. Your corpus callosum gets thicker. And as we age, when we're 25, we have a nice size. And as we age, we lose it. It gets smaller and smaller. So there are studies now showing that 6 to 8 weeks of 20 minutes a day of meditating can have a 55-year-old have the same size as a 25-year-old. In 6 or 8 weeks, you can change that for yourself. And that's to do with memory and a lot of cognitive areas of the brain. So why hemispheric synchronization? And that's something this technology does. It gives you, it helps your brain go to a whole brain state where both spheres of the brain are talking together. Have any of you heard of Jill Bolte Taylor? That's a really good book if you want to write that down. She talks about, she's a neuroscientist who had a stroke and her left brain shut down. And it's an 18-minute TED Talk if you don't want to read any of the books. But she literally witnessed her left brain shut down and what that meant for the right brain. And then it took her 8 or 9 years for the left brain to come back online. And she's written a book about that. It has some really good insights about how the 4 different aspects of our brain and how they can work together and how they compete with each other and make us miserable. So, Jill Bolte Taylor, Whole Brain Living is the new book. And then Insights of the Stroke of Insights is the first one. So, are you ready to do a meditation?
Yes.
So, what I'm going to do before I start it, I'm going to dim the lights. And this one is by Patty Ray, who was the one that had the white cross on her chest. She's a wonderful trainer, I love her voice. And this is intentionally under 10 minutes because you're sitting in a chair that's not real comfortable and it's well guided, so your brain will be occupied. And we'll do this for less than 10 minutes, and then we'll talk a little bit more, and then I have one more for less than 10 minutes that you'll experience. So what I would suggest is just get comfortable, and if you can, like feet flat on the ground is usually the ideal way, but it doesn't, do whatever's comfortable. And then I will get this started.
Is this binaural?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
So this is, yeah, you can get it, if you want to get on the floor, you can do that. So first I'm going to just turn the lights down before I start this. So just get comfortable while I do that. Make sure everybody that wants to leave is. So the lights are a little crazy here. There we go. Okay. All right, enjoy, and off we go.
Last time.
Quiet Mind Meditation. When we quiet our mind, we clear the way to allow beneficial guidance to come into our awareness. The information we seek is always there for us, but we simply need to get our thinking mind out of the way. Begin relaxing by moving your awareness to your breath. Take a few deep, relaxing breaths, and as you inhale, breathe in sparkling, fresh, vibrant energy from the air around you. And exhale stale, tired, used up energy. Just let it go. Continue to relax more and more with each breath. If you find your mind is very active, imagine a box. Open the lid and place all distracting thoughts inside. Close the lid and turn away. Focus your attention on relaxing each part of your body. Begin with your feet, relaxing the muscles in your feet, your calves, your thighs, up through your hips, your torso. You are becoming more and more relaxed. Now relax your hands, arms, and shoulders, through your back, your neck, and finally your head and face. Deeply relaxed, deeply at peace. As your body becomes still, you may begin the process of achieving a still mind. Imagine you are aware of a still, quiet space all around you. Expanding out into quiet nothingness. Expanding more and more. And here, in this quiet, expanded state, begin to reverse this movement, moving your awareness inward. Into a very quiet, still place, deep within your being. Let your breath continue to center you into the vast inner space of deep peace and calm. allow any thoughts to move through you, beyond you, far away from your attention. Just be in this quiet and centered state. Now you will learn a method to create this perfectly quiet and centered state at any time in the future. Whenever you desire to achieve a quiet and still mind, simply repeat this personal command. Quiet now. Quiet now. And all parts of you will move into perfect relaxation. Your mind will easily become quiet and still. You will feel expanded, clear, and centered when you say, quiet now. You have just created a new way to bring yourself into an ideal state of mind for accessing more of your intuitive self. Prepare to bring your conscious awareness back into a more awake and alert state. Come back to waking consciousness, bringing back the information and experience you desire to use for your continued well-being. You are feeling totally alert, totally refreshed. Welcome back.
All right. Come on back. I will turn the light back on. So I did that by design because, and I didn't, there's something called front loading. And so I didn't want to front load you about what this was about. I wanted it to be what it needed to be for you, because even though I have an agenda, I've planned a talk, you've all got your own personal thing happening here. So my agenda was that I'm showing you how to have a technique, which was one of those encodings, to quiet your mind so that you will be more receptive to these bigger experiences. And my suggestion is after this, y'all go over to our meditation room for the 15-minute experience because it's you're in a comfortable chair, you're in the dark, and you've even got stars above your head. So, and it's Newport B. But for our purposes, again, it's a tool for you to use. It's a way to get you started. I like to use it sometimes when I'm going to sleep because it will just leave you there. But our busy mind is one of the barriers to entry. And so that's why I wanted to show you this. It's on the app, it's an 11-minute exercise. I cut it down for this because I wanted y'all to be comfortable in your chairs, but it's 11 minutes, so it's still a short exercise. And just when you've got that busy monkey mind stuff going on, it's an excellent tool. All right, so what can you do? Does anybody want to learn how to be more intuitive and to go to those non-local spaces? And yeah. So I know, create a regular meditation practice. Darn it, I gotta do something. And actually, and I know I'm biased here, but I really believe, and there's one of our favorite participants is here too, and he would agree with me in the back there, but the group experience when you do a program with individuals, and it's a whole group of you, just magnifies things. Yeah. Now, you can self-evolve on your own. If you're one of the, I always thought I was a loner, a lone wolf, and I mean, I remember when I was going to Gateway, first time I thought, okay, this is going to be the weirdest place I've ever been. And I'm not going to talk to anybody because they're just going to be weird. And then when I get there, they tell me not only do I have a roommate, I have 2 roommates. Then I thought I'm going to have to eat wheatgrass all week. So I was pleasantly surprised that next morning when there were fried eggs and, good stuff. So to do all this, you can have your own ideas about what makes you more receptive, more open. Some of us, think that we need to be vegetarians or not drink caffeine. I didn't drink caffeine for a week and I fell asleep a whole program. So I don't advise it. I still have experiences even though I drink caffeine. It's your own personal philosophy, but you can have experiences even if you have a lot of issues going on. It's not about it's not about what's happening for you in the physical body. So just put all that aside, but do go with what you believe. If you know that you're having better experiences, like maybe more vivid dreams when you're following a certain program, do that. But I don't see it as a barrier or any. The main thing I see as a regular thing to do is meditate. Find time to meditate. And then make an intention to focus on doing it. So how many of you would like to bend spoons? I wish I brought my spoons. So you can do it. Every one of you can do it. But if you don't put attention and focus on it, you'll be raising your hand next year. So again, it's what's important to you. So for me, what was important was intuitive abilities. So that's where I put my focus. Some people want to have an out-of-body experience. They want to have the traditional experience. When you are up in the ceiling and you look down, there's your body on the bed before you zoom out the window or the wall. So you can do that. You can learn how to lucid dream. You can learn how to remote view. You can do that. It's just a matter of putting your attention and focus there and practice. Sorry, but you got to practice. Now, some of you though, it'll happen spontaneously. Yay, good for you guys. But most of us have to work on it. And the other thing that was that I figured out as I started this, you really need a language. And by shared language, I mean you and your higher self. My higher self's giving me messages. How do I interpret it? How do I do that? I decided to use dream analysis as my language. So I would look up things in a dream dictionary. I'd avoid all that, what is it, when it's, there's a part of dream analysis that's scary. I ignore all that. It's just the interpretation of a symbol or the interpretation of a color. So for example, when I dream that my teeth are falling out, has anybody had that dream? Yes. Now yours might be different than mine. We don't necessarily all share the same language, but that means I'm giving away my personal power. So whenever I have that dream, I think about the last couple of days. What did I do? Especially when I have the dream about getting run over by a car, and then they keep doing it. That's telling you you're really giving your power away. They're running all over you. But yeah, so you can start building this language for yourself. So then when you have a meditation and a pink rose shows up, what does that mean? And you can start piecing it together. So these are just reasons why to do it. I love the synchronicity part.
Yes.
You really know you're in the flow when these things start happening. And it's even better when you reach a point where you go, of course that happened. And that's the best. I actually see hearts everywhere I go. And I will see a heart in food. I will see a cotton ball in the shape of a heart on the floor. I'll see it just everywhere. And so it reached a point, my food like a drop would drop of water and form a heart on a paper towel. And it happens all the time. And so now I don't even, it's like, of course you made a heart. That's just what happens. So that's where I want you guys to go. And on Monday when I'm talking, or tomorrow, that's more about, getting into that high vibe state. And when you're in that high vibe state, that's where this really starts flowing for you. For example, flying here, hope I don't jinx myself, but in the last couple of years when I've been flying, I'm usually early. And so when I flew in on Friday, I was 30 minutes early on each leg. So, in the flow. And this is one of my favorites too. You really start trusting more that everything's okay. And you know it. You arrive at a place, even if things look terrible around you, you arrive at a place where you know everything's okay and it's unfolding as it should. And you can remove yourself from thinking about how things are unfair and why they would happen to that individual versus that individual, because it's a bigger picture at play here, bigger happening and occurrences going on, influences that we don't even understand. Another thing that's really hard, and any individual who starts to be more of service, you want to help everybody, right? You just want to help. You read about it, you hear about it. And so what I do, because I can't help everybody, so I help the people who walk right in front of me. Either they walk right here, or they walk right here, or they're right there. That's who I help. And then I can let the others go. And just like, for example, if I see someone that's on a street corner that's wanting money, I line it up. I go, okay, if this individual needs my help, then I'm going to be parked at the red light with time to spare. I'm going to have cash in my purse, and they're going to be right there by me. And if they're not, it's not mine. If they are, and I don't have cash, not mine. It all has to line up. So that helps you take that burden off yourself. Oh, are y'all ready for another one? Yes. So this one, now here's the thing. Most people come to this and go, I want to go out of body. I want to have a lucid dream. Well, it's real important to go in the body first. So that's what we're doing here. So actually, there's a method to my madness. And then when you go to our meditation room, it's out. We've had 5 OBEs so far in that room, that shocked me because it's 15 minutes. And then some other really amazing experiences. Now, you might go over there. I'm priming you, so, it could work out really well. But you could go over there and it'd be like just very relaxing. That's good, too. There's another trainer, Joe Gallenberger, who speaks a lot, and I've heard him say, and I will say it's the same for me, it's about 20-80. So when I do meditation, it's about 80%, oh, that was nice. Oh, that was relaxing. Oh, I feel better. Then the 20% where it's like, oh, man, I want more of that. So just know that whatever your experience is, it's where you are and where you need to be. And there are things, just like that unseen, there are things happening that you just don't even know are happening. And you're shifting. Am I short on time? 14 minutes. 14, okay. So we'll do, this is under 10 minutes. So we'll do a meditation and then we'll have a little bit of time after. All right, so we'll do the same thing. Get comfortable. Those of you who want to sit on the floor, please feel free. And this is Paul Citarella. He's here. He's the one running the meditation room. He voiced it. It was written by Luigi Scambriello. These lights don't always. There we go. All right. Deep breath. And here we go.
In this exercise, we're going to journey inward to explore the vast inner reaches of expanded awareness. to move beyond your sense of self and your individual identity to discover that you are, in fact, just one aspect of a much larger, expansive awareness. A fundamental oneness that gives rise to all that is. So let's begin this journey by gently allowing your physical body to relax. Allow your awareness to center on your breath. Notice each inhale and exhale. Feel the sensation of air entering and leaving your body. As you continue to notice your breath, become aware of any tension that exists anywhere in your physical body. With each exhale, release that tension and imagine your body sinking deeper and deeper into the bed or chair that is supporting you. Each exhalation brings you deeper and deeper into a state of comfort and ease. Allow any tension to just melt away with each exhale as you sink deeper and deeper and become more and more relaxed. Now imagine that with each breath in, you are breathing in vibrant, sparkling light. Imagine that this light is entering your body and filling it with cleansing energy. Imagine all parts of your body being bathed in this light. Deeply and completely relaxed, allow your focus to fall away from your breath and turn your attention toward your inner reality. Begin to expand your sense of self. You are more than your current physical persona. Imagine yourself as existing over the span of thousands of lifetimes. With each lifetime, you have bound your sense of self to a different identity. Each personality distinct and unique. Each personality a unique reflection of your total self. Begin to let go of the identity that you have created during this lifetime. From this point of view, your daily concerns seem insignificant. Your entire lifetime but the blink of an eye. You are beyond time and beyond the physical. universe. Let go and move deeper and deeper within your awareness. From this vantage point, you can see that each of your lifetimes and identities are just singular expressions of aspects of your total self. Continue to move deeper and deeper within. As you move deeper and deeper within your awareness, beyond time and the physical universe, your awareness expands further and further. Your sense of self becomes larger and larger, encompassing not only your own lifetimes, but those of others as well. Your sense of self continues to expand larger and larger as you move deeper and deeper within. And you realize that the entire universe is within you and not outside of you. You are the universe expressing and experiencing itself. This is the vast oneness that gives rise to all experience. It's time to return now, back to your current lifetime in physical reality. Begin to pull your awareness back from the infinite. Recall the individual identity that you left behind and begin to come back from this inner journey. Focus your awareness on your physical body and become aware again of your physical senses. Become aware of your breath and the sensation of air moving into and out of your body. touch the chair or bed supporting you with your hands and feel the physicality of your current environment. Take a deep breath and open your eyes.
Welcome back.
Welcome back.
That's how I end all my meditations. So we're about to wrap up here, and I just want to leave you, I'm not going to describe or talk about each of these slides, but I just want you to focus on these slides and just take in what's there. I will stop on one of them because it does deserve a little explanation. But again, just focus your attention ahead. This is the one I have to talk about. This is a biofield imaging photo from Brian Daly's collection. And the person that you see over in the far corner, the arm in the white shirt, is a Reiki master healer. She always said there are 3 guides who come with me when I do healing. And one of them is a redheaded teenager. One of them is a nun. And then one of them is this rainbow of colors. There's more going on than you can perceive. Okay, really take this one in, please. Because this is whispered in your ears all the time from those who are taking care of you from the other side. Meditation can help with this. Thank you very much. And I'm a longtime Toastmaster, and I was told never to thank the audience. But I felt like thanking you. So, Newport B, if you do want to have the 15-minute, this gentleman right here has done it. Would you highly recommend it? I think you've done it twice. So it's Newport B, so you'll go, it's on this same floor. It's the second hallway right before the big stairway. And it'll be every 15 minutes that they're running. Yeah, and then I'm speaking tomorrow, which will have some shorter meditations also that are more directive of helping you with that raising your vibration. So if you're around tomorrow, we'd love to have you join us. And our app has over 90 meditations. There's a free part to it. But since you're here, if you go to our meditation app booth, you can get it for a month for free, the full, and check all this out. So thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, oh, that's right, like in the middle there. Okay, where all day, okay, yes.
Yeah, I was just trying to think that myself. I forgot. I meant to pick up one of those books. Oh my God, yeah.
I usually do some meditation. Oh my God, by the way. This is one of the yeah, that's yeah, that was amazing.
Bye, Allie. Thank you. I'll email you. I want to ask you a couple of things.
Spencer's the one who's going to help us with the computer stuff. Yeah, with the hot.
So yeah, he said he was gonna try the love. He said he had a love. Well, it's a little it's like a little lapel. Yeah, I just talked to him. I said, remember the mic? And he said, I have a lav mic that may work. Okay. Yeah. Hi.
Not me. No, I'm just helping him grab.
Oh, you are? So Matthew said he is going to bring a lav mic, and I haven't heard from him. He's like, MIA. So Riz is channeling. So he needs like.
He might have it already for Matthew. I'm not sure. I'll ask him
Got
right
it.
now. Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you. I'm standing outside there and telling him doing my job. No, she used to not let me come in. Okay. So I guess I'll tell her.
Do you have that box? Huh? Do you have that box? See if I can get up here. Nope. These aren't your water. No. Okay, my water right there. I want to make sure.